Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and IT Wire TV interview. Today I'm joined by Richard Marr on my left. He's the General Manager of Digital Native Business, APJ at Okta. And on my right is James Simpson, the CTO at SafetyCulture. Welcome to you both to the program.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for taking the time. Now, can we just start by each of you giving us a quick wrap of your respective companies in 2023?
Yeah, I'll go first, James, and then you want to follow up. So,
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okta is basically, it provides identity as a service. And that could be from the way your workforce, your employees need to access their applications in the morning when they log in, or your extended customers and partners and way they access your applications, or in the case of SafetyCulture, it's their end B2B customers as well. So it's whether it's workforce identity and customer identity, we provide a platform that allows you to connect your customers and your employees to your applications securely, etc. So that's what we do.
And James.
SafetyCulture.
Right. Yeah, look, we started about 10 years ago as a solution for helping companies with compliance and quality and safety, hence SafetyCulture is the name. It started, I guess, what you would think of as like a checklist, and since then it's become ever more sophisticated and does a lot more for people than a checklist could do. And we're in the process of evolving into an operations platform. So in addition to helping people inspect things such as, for quality and compliance, we're looking at the other aspects of running a business, the other processes that need support. And from the early days, they're working with Auth0 and now Okta. They've been a really valuable partner to help us with that evolution.
And James, you're a digital native business. I mean, Okta works with digital native technologies. I mean, why did you, in more detail, sort of choose their identity solutions? What's the story of your journey in that regard, and what are your comments about that?
Like a lot of businesses, it's not uncommon. We had a homegrown solution that we built ourselves to manage users and identities and customers. And as the business became more complicated, we were asking more and more of that software. And it became increasingly difficult to firstly keep up, certainly difficult to anticipate what was coming. So we worked with Okta to look at how their solution for identity management might take away the need for having a homegrown solution. And the more we looked at the problems of things like performance, scalability, security, and reliability, they would be the big four. The cost and the time for us to take care of those four issues ourselves, it was just too much. It wasn't just a straightforward time and dollars thing. It was also an expertise thing. To do these things really well requires some subject matter expertise and deep knowledge that our people are great, but that's just not where they come from, those issues. So that's what led us to Okta.
Sure. And Richard.
Yeah, I think and James, I think you're sort of, candidly, you're a fantastic and canonical customer for Okta. So SafetyCulture is, very successful. Unicorn in Australian tech, B2B SaaS. And so when we look at other B2B SaaS organizations or even B2C digital native businesses, think of an e-commerce marketplace, agritech, retail, they've got these large engineering teams and they want to focus on their core and focus on innovation rather than worrying about sign up, registration, forgotten password, multi-factor, single sign-on, federation, all these things to manage their users and access to their applications. And we recently did a survey of about 400 digital native businesses across Asia Pac and Japan, and 66% of them are in fact building their own customer identity service. And so it's just this huge opportunity that we see, much like if you think of AWS as to infrastructure or Stripe as to payments or Twilio as to messaging, we see this huge opportunity where we can help unlock developers and engineers to focus on innovation rather than a solve problem like identity, and get them focused on the core. And the other side, the other problem that we see is it's, the front door, identity is the front door, the way that your customers access your application. And if there's a bit of friction there, it's hard to open, it's hard to get onboarded, hard to sign up. Or if you've got multiple products like SafetyCulture has, you've acquired EdApp and others. And if you've got multiple doors for those customers, it's a bit of a disconnected experience and not a highly personalized experience. So we see it covering innovation and helping innovation, focusing on the customer experience, and of course, increasing security as well. So it really ticks a lot of those boxes.
Yeah, for us, it was also a choice between generalization and specialization. So our engineering team can apply themselves to a range of problems in the business operations space, and they're good at that. But when it comes to things like customer identity and security, at best we'd be generalists. I think we could do it, and I think we would do a good job, but it would take time. We would not have the expert skill that specialists are going to have. So in our decision to work with Auth0 in that day, there was a recognition that on some things it's just better to go with specialists as opposed to generalists.
Yeah. I spoke to the CTPO, and it's not a competitor, it's MYOB, so another B2B SaaS business. And he was saying to me, Darren was saying to me that, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing, that you can, like, let's focus on doing a few things really well than trying to do a lot of things really well. Like what really makes us different as a business. And that's what we sort of saying. It's not so much the cost of the engineering resource. It's like you can get engineers and like they're not cheap, but it's more the opportunity cost of where you're spending good engineers as well, I guess. So yeah. I don't know if that.
Which problems do you want to be good at solving?
Yeah, 100%.
And even though this is an important topic, I guess we made the decision that's not one that we want to solve. We're going to solve other problems for our customers, and you can solve this one for us.
I think the interesting thing, Alex, as well, when I think about the journey of safety culture with Okta, it feels like it's a 5-6 year journey. I had a little bit more hair and back then, but not as many greys. But it really started. The first requirement was they had a large customer that wanted to access their service, and they wanted to federate, like allow their users, their employees, to sign on to SafetyCulture service using their corporate credentials. And as James was saying, sure, we could build it. And then another customer asked for it, and they're using Active Directory, another one's using Okta, another one's using ADFS, another one's using God knows what. And you could just keep building and maintaining that. And I think that was the point where the engineering team said, okay, well, let's solve that problem. And then over time, it was just more and more, requirements. And then eventually, I guess, looking after all of the customer facing identity for SafetyCulture, which has been a phenomenal journey. So,
yeah, for us, it started off with SSO. That's absolutely where it started. And we initially thought, well, that was the extent of, what we were going to be able to solve there with Auth0. But we spent probably half a day with some of your folks and some of your technical specialists to have a look at everything else that you could solve. And that's when I think the penny dropped for us that, okay, SSO is just a tiny piece of what we could do. So we went from SSO to everything we do now. Yeah.
Great. And going great gun as well, SafetyCulture, by the way. I love what you guys did with the tennis, the Australian Open, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it.
You saw that. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit briefly about that. I mean, I'm assuming it wasn't just ads in the background.
I'll let you tell the story, what you did for Australian Open. It's great.
Oh, look, in 20, 30 seconds or less, the AO is an enormous event, and it has something, I think, around 12,000 people who contribute and participate in running and organising that event. And there's a lot of things that have to go right, and they have to go right the first time. So our solution was used to help build the compliance and quality and planning systems that the AO used to make the event run right the first time. So it was really about servicing those 12,000 people to do their jobs better.
Yeah. And a little tidbit, James, I'll tell you, my house, the new house that I'm sitting in, they used SafetyCulture to manage the compliance for my house build as well, believe it or not. So it's like from the Australian Open down to build my little old house. So anyway, sorry, Alex, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, one of the things that I always like to talk to with vendors is about the fact their clients can be their best R&D division because they have pain points that they want to solve. And so I just wanted to ask, James, was there anything that you sort of said to Okta, hey, we want you to help us with this or create this or do this? And have you asked them that question and have they brought features forward to enable you to do something that they weren't quite doing yet?
Look, I think for us, the main worry I had as a CTO, and I know some of my colleagues feel the same way, is reliability. Because it's the front door to the solution for all of our customers. If that piece is unavailable or it goes down for any reason, the business is dead everywhere. It's dead all in one go. So it's a part of the solution that has to be rock solid. And yes, we can do that. We've got engineers that can put that all together, but it's a lot of work and it's hard work. And so on that day where we worked with some of the technical specialists there in Okta, it became obvious that the task of providing that reliability was just not something that was sensible for us to engage in. And so that's where we partnered with Okta to do that. So for us, reliability.
Yeah. And Richard, I mean, are there any, just in brief, any features that some of your other customers have asked for and you thought, well, that's a great idea, and you've basically gotten your engineers to develop that quickly to make it reliable, and you've launched it?
Yeah, I think like we're seeing a lot of recently, we're seeing a lot of requirements around balancing. There's this constant friction between balancing security and customer experience. Like MFA is a good example. Like, you get the one-time code, you put the code in, it's like a friction point for customers. So we're doing a lot of work working with our customers around how do you have this dial that only goes up when it needs to go up to introduce security measures. So like, detecting signals like impossible travel, or hang on, Richard normally logs in from Sydney, Australia. Why is he logging from Singapore? Hey, hang on, he's logging with a new iPhone 14 Pro. We haven't seen that device before. We should check again. So there's a lot of that, or hang on, this is coming from a bad IP. We should really check that as well. So we're doing a lot of work, both B2B and B2C. It's across the board, as we've seen with a lot of sort of the security issues of late and breaches, etc. That's a really prevalent thing that we're doubling down on with our customers and getting a lot of feedback. The other thing that's really quite fine is around fine-grained authorization. It's a very technical topic, but if you think about the Australian Open and that referee that just needs to do this little thing versus the person that's raising the structure for the stadium, etc., they've got different requirements, different authorizations. So supporting those permissions as well is a new product that we're currently in beta releasing as well. That's been driven by a lot of customer demand as well. So super exciting there.
Now, I just want to finish on a couple of questions. I know we haven't got much time left, but could each of you please share a memory of the first computer that you remember owning?
James, you're first, mate.
All right. Okay, this is going back a little while, isn't it? It was an Epson. It was a 286. Back in the days when everything was x86.
Yeah.
And it had 20 meg hard drive, which was enormous. It was vast. There was no way that you were ever going to use all of that.
That's right.
That's right. 640K memory.
Yeah.
And I think it was an amber monochrome screen.
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was the fanciest thing on the market. Yeah.
There they are. Wow.
All the other screens were green screen, but you had an amber screen.
We had amber. Yeah.
And Richard,
I think that was the key.
Yeah.
I've got a very, very memorable VIC 20. If anybody more remembers the VIC 20, like they had the precursor to the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And back in the day when you used to buy a computer magazine and punch in basic code to compile a program, and then if you wanted to save it, you'd record it on a cassette. So the VIC 20 was my, and that's where I sort of learned programming in basic way back when, but very affectionate, very, very distraught when I had to throw that thing out, by the way. So yeah, you've
just uncovered a distant memory for me there, Richard. Before the Epson, there was the TRS-80.
Yeah.
In those days. Yeah, I forgot about that one. The cassette, the reference to the cassette is what triggered that one. Yeah.
Fond memories.
They used to call the TRS-80 the trash 80. That was from the people who'd bought, something else like the Exodus Sorcerer or something else. Now, just my second last question, and I'll start with you, Richard, and then go to you, James. Can you please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today?
Oh, I'd have to give it to my dad. He told me not to work with my hands and to work with my head. That was his advice. I don't think I'm great with my hands, so I think he gave me good advice for me. That was the best advice that I had. So really doubled down on investing in myself and knowledge doesn't take up any space. So I'm on this continual journey to continue to develop myself and learn. So I'd say that's probably my best advice that I've had.
Sure. And James?
I think I should take that advice as well. I like that. For me, it would be just pick one thing and be good at that one thing. So it depends the scenario or the circumstance. It can be, a career, or it can be skills within a career. But in any situation, just what's that one thing that you need to do well or to do right, and just focus on that one.
Yep. We've only got like a minute left, but to each of you, what is your final message to IT Wire viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners? And again, we'll start with you, Richard.
Probably take a page out of James' book and don't build identity. Focus on your core. Have to give it a plug. That's my view. James?
You don't have to solve everything on your own. So you don't need to build everything yourself. You don't need to devote your entire team to every possible problem. You can find business partners who help you. For us, Zero Okta, it was a slingshot effect for us that saved us a lot of work. So it was good.
Thanks, James. Appreciate the vote of confidence.
Yeah. Well, Richard Marr, General Manager, Digital Native Business, Australia Pacific Japan at Okta, and James Simpson, CTO at SafetyCulture. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you the best of success, and I do hope we can speak again in the future.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, James. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.